welcome back to another episode of the Nerf Report. We got a great show lined up for you this week. 6 brand new video games to talk about. Nintendo has finally revealed the Nintendo Switch 2. We got our first look at Mario Kart 9. Pokemon decides to take trading out of the trading card game. And PlayStation has ended development on 2 more video games. All of this and so much more on this week's episode of the Nerf Report.
Can you see me?
Let's just film the video.
Zip it! The ghost of Macho Man Randy Savage is here!
Oh my god! Yes, negativity sells, and it sure as hell makes clicking your thumbnails a lot easier. But I, as a gamer, as a nerd, as a creator, I am so tired of being upset for clicks.
Are you listening?
Strangers from distant lands and friends of old, you've been summoned for another episode of the Nerf Report. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Man, this week was wild for me. This was one of those weeks where I had all the intention of the world to be like, I'm gonna do I'm gonna create some content, I'm gonna post some videos, and then work happened. And for those of you unaware, I do this show on top of having a full-time job, and occasionally that full-time job requires me to travel, and this week was traveling, stuck in sales meetings the entire week, and then at nighttime, I'm like, man, it's already 11 o'clock. There's no way we can get out episodes of the daily, so apologies to everybody who was hoping to see episodes of the daily. This week was kind of just too insane to happen. So we will be returning back on Monday. But speaking of the daily, special shout out to our Nerf Gaming members who make this show ad-free and, of course, possible. You, my friends, keep the lights on, and you too can join them and become a Nerf Gaming member this week by becoming a casual friend or a best friend. We don't judge. But for the low price of $1.99 a month, you can help keep the lights on and support independent games media just like this. And also put a smile on my face because I know you believe in the vision just like us. But anyway, big show that we got this week. So before we dive into the story I think everybody's been waiting for, the Nintendo Switch 2, we finally got to see it. Let's talk about our first video game. This one is a first-person action-adventure game that will be coming to Steam. Check out a brand new game called GLUM. Nintendo has officially revealed the long-awaited Nintendo Switch 2, and boy, do I have some opinions on this one, because after months of built-up anticipation, weeks of leaks and rumors, and is this photo real, is this motherboard actually the Nintendo Switch 2, we finally saw it. And I feel like in order to do this properly, right, let's break out the popcorn and let's enjoy the excitement that is the Nintendo Switch 2. That's right, in case you are the 1% of humans who missed this announcement this week, Nintendo has dropped a brand new trailer for the Nintendo Switch 2, showing off the device's larger screen, improved Joy-Cons, and while the trailer does include plenty of new looks at the physical console, it fails to mention anything about specifications, hardware, or release dates. Wait a minute. That's it? That's all he talked about? What about the C button? What about whether it's LCD or OLED? I mean, what about the screen? You're telling me you're only going to give me 2 minutes of content, Nintendo? Look, I'm not one to complain, but it took me longer to pop this bag of popcorn for a joke than it did to watch your trailer. Guess we're not going to need this now. Now, to Nintendo's credit, the trailer did show off that not only will the Switch 2 have a larger screen, but the bezel has been reduced on all edges, allowing for more display. The back of the Nintendo Switch 2 will have a new U-shaped kickstand that will greatly improve the current Switch experience. The Joy-Cons have been elongated and feature a new magnetic attachment system, along with showcasing the ability of the Nintendo Joy-Cons being used and moved similar to a computer's mouse. The Nintendo Switch dock will be returning with improvements as well, and in the trailer we can see that the dock has received some curved edges, and like its predecessor, the Switch 2 will come with the Joy-Con controller mount, which creates a universal controller for players who want to play in dock mode. Nintendo closed out the reveal by teasing a 2025 release date, a Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd of 2025, and Switch 2 experiences taking place around the world. And look, I'm hyped, right? We finally got our first look at the Nintendo Switch, but I still have a ton of questions. Is it LCD or OLED? What type of performance can we expect from the Nintendo Switch 2? What features does the Switch 2 have that its predecessor doesn't? And look, I understand that a lot of those questions are probably going to be addressed during the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, but I think I speak for the entire internet when I say, I want it now, Nintendo. But it is funny because I've seen like a lot of people look at this reveal and they're like, I didn't like it. Or like, the reveal wasn't good. And I don't know if I like totally agree with that, because I think that Nintendo did like a good job overall making the video and like showing off the new device. But I think where a lot of the disconnect is happening here is like, for Nintendo, this was their introduction to the mass population of like, hey, this is the Switch 2. But for those of us here on the internet, myself included, a lot of us had that introduction months ago. I mean, we've been talking about the Switch 2 almost every single week since the beginning of November. So in many ways, I can understand the frustration of like, why are we having appetizers? I've been sitting at this table for hours. Give me my dessert! But jokes aside, I still do think that this was a very good reveal for Nintendo, right? Like, they showed off the console and they ended it with people having questions. And I think anybody in marketing, like, that's what you want to have. And I've also seen a lot of people get mad about, like, we don't have a release date and we don't have pricing. And I think that Nintendo has to play it safe here, because I think that if you look at, like, what's happening globally, you can't just like launch a price, right? Like, especially Nintendo of America. You know, the incoming administration is very, very adamant that they want tariffs, and those tariffs are going to impact chips, they're going to impact consoles, they're going to impact pretty much everything. And so I would guarantee you that Nintendo America is playing it very close to the chest here, because they don't want to launch a console and then have to like 2 months later be like, sorry, it actually cost you $150 more than it did before. And the tariffs are really interesting here, because nobody really knows like how high or low that they could be. In fact, the next election cycle, it might get so crazy that the Democrats come out and they're like, ask not how much your Switch 2 should be, ask how much less it will be if you vote for me. I will say though, registration for the Switch 2 event in Dallas went live yesterday. And I registered because I would like to attend this event. I would love to get some hands-on time with the Switch 2. It was very frustrating in the beginning, because their site was definitely not prepared for the traffic, which blows my mind. Like, Nintendo hasn't released a console in almost a decade now, and they put up a website and they're like, come check out the new console. And then like, first second crashed. And it literally took about 15 minutes for me to be able to get my place in line to hopefully get a ticket here. And what's frustrating is like, in the thing it says like, hey, it doesn't matter if you're first, we're just gonna randomly pick people. And like, my buddy later in the night did the registration. He was like, yeah, had no issue. I got straight in. So I'm like, okay, fingers crossed we get there. Plus, the other cool thing about this event is like, not only do you get to see the Switch 2, but like, it is guaranteed to be nuts. I mean, I'm talking people camping out for days, people playing the Nintendo Switch with their friends while they're waiting in line, probably a whole bunch of them who haven't showered in like a month, and then another group that's just like mainlining G Fuel in order to stay up for the event. I just want to be a part of that. Like, that just sounds so incredible. And meanwhile, there's gonna be like drones flying overhead, and you're just gonna, and we're all gonna be like, hey, look at us, we're on TV. But in reality, we're not on TV. Those are just like the Nintendo execs just sitting in their office being like, dance, my minions, Dance, my minions, dance! But anyways, shout out to Nintendo. The Switch 2 revealed this week, and it was super cool. And next time we will be hearing from Nintendo in regards to the Switch 2. It will be on April 2nd of 2025. 74 days and counting. Because can't wait. We've already waited 14 years. Why not wait a little bit longer? So anyway, we will obviously be updating y'all on the channel as news drops, and we'll be doing a huge amount of coverage as the Switch comes out, doing videos and showcases, so make sure to stick here for more Nintendo Switch news, including the news that we are getting a brand new Mario Kart game. But before we talk about that, let's dive into our next video game. This one is a first-person space action horror game called SCP Fragmented Minds.
What happened to this place?
They abandoned us.
We have to leave you behind to continue the mission inside the facility.
Left us all to rot away with their little secret.
If you find this, head to the tram system. We'll help you get inside the main facility.
The things they kept up here were some of the worst anomalies ever encountered.
Do not make direct. I repeat, do not make direct.
Nintendo gave gamers their first look at Mario Kart 9 this week. Yeah, this was part of the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal this week. During the trailer, we saw gameplay footage of a Mario Kart game running on the Switch 2, which has led to many on the internet saying that this is the long-rumored next chapter Mario Kart 9 launch title for the console. But just for a second, if it's not, could you imagine the audacity of Nintendo to be like, it's not Mario Kart 9, it's Mario Kart 8 Super Mega Deluxe Edition. You loved the game so much, we decided to give it to you one more time. I mean, I joke, but like, we all know that could happen. Now, the Mario Kart 9 reveal, much like the Switch 2 reveal, was brief, but it didn't stop the internet from watching it frame by frame to hyper-analyze whatever details were possible. And of course, there was a lot of things in this 20-second clip that I didn't notice, but shout out to the internet. They found things like the Mario Kart 9 trailer included the return of Mario Kart TV, MKTV from Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 9 will also see the return of Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi, Bowser, Yoshi, Toad, Peach, Daisy, Rosalina, Paulina, and Donkey Kong, along with the likes of Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, and Toadette being playable characters. However, that's not the end of the speculation, because this next one I think is very interesting, as player lobbies could also be expanding, with players noticing that the starting lines of the races include 24 spots, which would be massive. I mean, 24 player lobbies would be absolutely chaotic. I mean, just imagine the amount of bananas that there are now and just double it. A crap ton of bananas, crap ton of blue shells just flying all over the place. Sign me up. That's the type of chaos that I want in my life right now. And of course, I'm just speculating here, but 24 player lobbies would also mean that we would probably see the largest roster of racers yet. I mean, Mario Kart 8 had 36 playable characters, but I've got to assume that we're going to see many more characters added to the game. Now, keep in mind, we only saw this video game for 20 seconds, but still, based off the footage that we saw, Mario Kart 9 looks super solid, and seeing that the next Nintendo Direct will be taking place in April, I've got to assume we'll be seeing more about this game at that event. But while we're waiting, why not check out a game that's coming out very soon? This one is an isometric action shooter game that has a brand new release date. Check out DeTechTive 2112.
The Third World War never happened, yet we were led to believe it did. The world is no longer as vast.
PlayStation has reportedly canceled 2 more video games this week. Yeah, this news comes from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, who essentially wrote a piece this week that says that both Sony's Bluepoint Games and Sony Bend Studio were working on live service games that are now canceled. Now, a key point to mention here, neither of these studios will be shuttered. In fact, a spokesperson spoke to Jason Schreier saying, Sony Bend and Sony Bluepoint are highly accomplished teams who are valued members of the PlayStation Studio family, and we are working closely with each studio to determine what are the next projects. And this might be obvious for some, but like, this is clearly the fault of Concord. I mean, anytime a company loses nearly $400 million on one game, you gotta believe that they are going studio from studio and just being like, is anyone gonna play this game? And again, I definitely feel like this is warranted to say, because while Sony failed with Concord, they did succeed with Helldivers 2. So it's like, they've got 2 good cases of where to find some middle ground, and I've got to assume that like, they're trying to figure out what was the key of success and where to double down on that. Now, as far as like what these games actually were, it was reported that Sony's Bluepoint was working on a live service game that was set in the God of War universe, while Sony Bend was making a sci-fi live service video game as well. But following internal reviews by Sony, PlayStation decided to ultimately shut them down. And look, I feel like this is as good as the time as any to say this, but for the love of God, just let Sony Bend make a Days Gone 2. Like, forget the live services, get back to Days Gone. That game was so underrated, and today it still stands as one of the single greatest zombie video games that has ever been made, and it blows my mind how Sony does not see this. Like, Sony, please, if you're watching, let's zoom this in real quick. If you want to make $1 billion this next generation, let me help. Days Gone 2, SOCOM, The Order 1886 2, Uncharted 5, A New Killzone, and Last of Us 3. Boom! I just made you $1 billion. And it's honestly frustrating because Sony has spent so much time and resources on these video games just to cancel them. I mean, we found out that the Spider-Man Multiverse multiplayer video game got canceled. Obviously, Naughty Dog canceled their Last of Us multiplayer video game. Concord, who could forget that? The God of War multiplayer game that Bluepoint was working on has been canceled. Foam Stars is winding down, and Destruction All-Star, for the love of God, let's just not even talk about that video game. And I guess, I mean, this is just another story that makes me question PlayStation leadership. Like, yes, live services are important, but who the hell greenlit Destruction All-Stars instead of the Order 1886 sequel? And I guess I'm really conflicted here, right? Because live services, there are fun live service video games. Helldivers is a prime example. It's a live service game that does not feel like a live service. And you know, Sony is working on a Horizon Zero Dawn MMO, and they're already saying like they want to hit 1 million players with that. But like, I also look at that and I'm like, I pray to God that doesn't flop. Because MMOs are so hard to stick the landing that I genuinely hope that Sony takes their time and they do not rush it. And I guess again, I'm like, yes, MMOs are cool, but like, I would have been cool with the SOCOM. Just saying. But anyway, rough few years for Sony, and I genuinely wish them luck. I hope you guys can turn it around and that this MMO is absolutely incredible. But that's going to obviously take a while before it releases, so let's talk about something that's available a lot sooner. We have a brand new post-apocalyptic RPG that I found on Kickstarter this week. Check out a brand new game called Chernoblite 2 Exclusion Zone.
Chernoblite 2 is an RPG set in the post-apocalyptic open world of Chernobyl wastelands. Dive into an immersive story where every action and every choice has a meaningful consequence.
Take it easy, man.
Decide how you want to play. Who do you want to be? A close combat fighter? A sharpshooter with a keen eye? Maybe a Chernomancer with tech skills and intelligence? Or a silent assassin using shadows to pass enemies by? Try different builds anytime you want. Create them in alternative realities and switch on the fly. Explore a fully open world. Travel freely across the vast, dangerous areas. Manage your companions wisely. Develop your base to cope with all adversities. You'll need every resource to complete your quest. The Zone awaits you.
The Pokemon trading card game Pocket just dropped the first details surrounding in-game trading. And I have some very big feelings about this one, but just in case you're new to the game, Pokemon trading card game Pocket is a mobile video game which pretty much digitalized the entire Pokemon trading card game experience. And I am straight up addicted to this game. I mean, I am constantly like opening packs. I gotta do my Wonder Pick. I'm easily checking this app like 5 times a day. And trading has been the feature that admittedly has been missing since the game launched. And luckily we're not gonna have to wait much longer because the official Pokemon TCGP account over on X dropped the first details, and let's break these down together. The account posted, "Today we want to provide more detail on the new trade feature coming your way this month. Here are a few highlights you can look forward to. Trades can be done between friends. Trades can be done with cards of same rarity. At the time of trade feature launch, certain cards from the Genetic Apex and Mythical Island booster packs will be able to be traded. We are planning to continue to expand the selection of booster packs that you can trade from. Cards with rarity of 1 diamond to 4 diamond and 1 star can be traded. Items must be consumed in order to trade, and we'll continue to monitor player feedback and assess future updates to the trade feature while keeping in mind how to balance both the ease and enjoyability of collecting." Which, boy, that is a lot of restrictions to trading for a game that literally has trading in its title. I mean, not being able to trade rare cards is absolutely ridiculous. I have 30 plus executes right now, right? And I got those because I opened packs trying to get rare cards. I'm not gonna trade 30 executes, right? I don't need any more executes. If I want more executes, I'll go open some packs. I'm using trades to get the rarest cards. I mean, that announcement feels so anti-collector from a player-based standpoint. Plus, the other thing that made me laugh, items must be consumed in order to trade. Or in other words, you're gonna have to give me money every single time you want to access trading. Like, how are you going to charge me and then still hold features back behind the paywall? If you're gonna make me pay to trade, I better have no limits on what I can trade. I should be able to trade the highest rarity possible if you're gonna charge me. The other thing, and I'm reading this again, also, cards can be traded, but they need to be the same level. What type of friend does that, right? Like if I'm giving my friend a rare card, I'm not gonna say, "You need to give me a rare card back." No, give me a Pidgey, right? Like I'm helping you out because you're my friend. I'm trading with my friend. And that's what friends do. You give them rare cards for crap commons. And I guess from my perspective as someone that plays this on a daily basis, this is a bummer, right? Like I'm not gonna trade now. Like this is not worth it. And I'm clearly not the other one. If you go through the responses to this, no one's happy about this. And to the developers' credit, they did respond to some of the outrage, posting on X saying, "Thank you everyone for your immediate thoughts on this topic. Your concerns are seen. Once this feature becomes available, I'd like to invite everyone to try it and provide feedback. This way, the game can continue to evolve in a way enjoyable for everyone to play." Prayer hands. And for those of you who need that translated into English, keep on crying, babies. We just generated $400 million on digital cards that if we take this game off the market, you have nothing. Yeah, we're not changing jack shit. I don't know. It's hard for me because I am kind of in a weird place with this game. I was explaining it to my friend, like I play this every single day, right? I'm constantly opening packs, but my luck has been so terrible. And my attitude towards this game is directly impacted by my luck, right? Like, I feel like every single day, all I get is commons. I haven't gotten like a good rare card. And if it is a rare card, it's the same freaking rare card every single time. Like, I legit feel like Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket goes through seasons. Like, the beginning of the month, they're like, let's give everybody the best cards possible. Or anything that cool happens, they're like, let's give people cards so we get the hooks in. And then as the month goes, my packs just get worse and worse and worse and worse. And here we are midway through January. And I'm like, I haven't had a good pack in like 2 weeks. And I don't know, like, I can't prove that that's actually happening, but like, having played the game for the past like 2.5 months, it definitely feels like I go weeks where I get nothing. And right when I'm about to uninstall the game, I get like a great pack. And I'm like, this game is great. If anything, I think that just shows that I'm addicted to it. So, I don't know. Reading this announcement of like trading and the restrictions that they're putting in, and like my frustrations that I have with everything on like getting so many commons, I'm very close to uninstalling this game. I haven't done it yet. I'm still an addict, but I haven't done it, but I'm very close. And I mean, really, the only saving grace from this announcement was that new booster packs are coming. So like the initial like, oh, I don't have this card, that's going away, because once I start opening new packs, everything's new. But what's different is I look at this new series of packs and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be spending money, right? I'll probably just do like one free pack a day. I don't know if I'm going to be putting money towards it. If all I'm getting is Punitas and Rattatas and Executes. Like, thank you so much for these cards, and I have 30 of now. I'm so appreciative. But anyway, we will be paying close attention to the Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket Trade feature as it launches. However, we do have a brand new game to talk about. This one is a top-down action RPG game coming to the Nintendo Switch on January 23rd. Check out Achilles, Legend Untold.
In a world consumed by chaos and bloodshed, true heroes emerge. Forged through blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Molded from skilled warriors into an unstoppable force. Meet the hero who defied the gods and rewrote history. Unleashing his wrath upon those who dared oppose him. The hero whose legend has transcended his era. Discover the untold story of the greatest warrior of all. The time has come to tell the tale of Achilles.
Will Nintendo appear during Xbox's Developer Direct? Yeah, Xbox has a huge Developer Direct next week, and I have the slight suspicion that we might see Nintendo pop up as part of this Direct. And look, in case you're not familiar, the Xbox Developer Directs are these really cool showcases where developers from Xbox Game Studios get the opportunity to discuss their game, show off unique features, but more importantly, control the narrative of what players should expect and kind of like damper expectations so they don't get too out of control. And for this year's Direct, we have a very solid lineup, including the likes of Doom, Dark Ages, Claire, Obscure, Expedition 33, and South of Midnight. All of those games will be in attendance, but we also have a mystery spot, which has caused like a ton of speculation. And some have said that this game will be the long-rumored Elden Ring 4 Oblivion remake that we know it's already being made by Bethesda. We know it's supposed to launch sometime in 2025, so they might be using this as the opportunity to talk it. But like, when I think of things that are also possible, I think that we have a really good chance to see some Nintendo announcements during this Direct. Because remember, last year, we saw Xbox begin their multi-platform strategy. And we know that going into 2025, Xbox has plans to bring games like Halo and Hellblade, along with many others, to PlayStation and to Nintendo. And all I'm saying is, what bigger announcement could there be for Xbox than announcing that some of their games are coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 at launch? And I mean, hey, they're not going to show the Nintendo Switch console or the games running on the console, but Phil Spencer can come out and be like, hey, Switch 2 fans, guess what? Halo Master Chief Collection, Call of Duty, Spyro, and a bunch of other video games are going to be available on the Switch 2 at launch. And keep in mind, Phil Spencer has already said that his goal is to get Call of Duty games on Nintendo. And like, what if during the Direct we see Activision show up and they're like, hey, here's our new zombie map. But also, one more thing. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 at launch for the first time in a long time. Like, yeah, that would be so cool. And I don't really think it's that crazy of a prediction. Like, I feel like that's very conservative and very safe. I mean, if we wanted to get crazy, I'd be like, put Phil Spencer out there and be like, Game Pass will be on the Switch 2 at launch. I mean, imagine a game like Microsoft Flight Simulator running on the Switch 2 via the cloud, or playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the Switch 2. That'd be sick, especially if you had like cross progression. But I don't know, the idea of Xbox being on the Switch 2, it just fits their mentality right now, right? Xbox's goal is that they want to be everywhere and they want you to play anywhere. And personally, I would love to see it. Like, I'd love to see like 10 or 12 Xbox Studio titles be available on the Switch 2 at launch. And obviously there's a lot of games to pick from, but sound off in the comment section down below. Let me know what Xbox title you'd like to see come to the Switch 2 in the upcoming year. And while you are doing that, let's check out one more brand new video game. This is a brand new trailer for a game called ALOFT.
Can you hear it? The whisper in the wind. It brought you here to begin anew. What will you make of this new world? Will you claim the skies like those before you, or will you chart a better path? Even in this shattered world, a home can be made. Although broken, the land provides. Within the stories of your ancestors lies a path and a warning. You are not the first to seek answers. But will you reach them? Will you listen? Can you hear it? The wind remembers.
And that is going to be a wrap on this week's show. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me this week. I really enjoyed a lot of the stories we talked about. Like, I think Nintendo had a really cool week, despite like a lot of the information people were wanting to hear. But I am like interested to see kind of like what type of lull period we get. Like, Nintendo drops all this news. What do we see next? But anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this week. A special thanks to the Nerf Gaming best friends and casual friends who make this show possible. You too can help this channel by hitting that support and membership button down below. But in the meantime, we will see you in the next video.